We never quite know where he is until the end, because he does this really interesting thing of where you believe.
What happens when a celebrity kid lets something slip in an interview? That's exactly what happened with Brad Pitt's daughter, and it's caught everyone's attention. A simple comment has sparked new questions about family, relationships, and behind-the-scenes dynamics that fans have been curious about for years. Join us as we break down what was revealed, what it really means, and how it's changing the story you thought you knew. Unexpected revelation. It didn't come out as a big announcement or a planned statement. There was no dramatic reveal, no headline prepared in advance. Instead, it slipped out quietly during a normal interview. Just a few words casually spoken, but powerful enough to change how people saw everything. That's what made it so striking. It felt real, unfiltered, and impossible to ignore. When Shiloh Jolie Pitt spoke, it wasn't framed as exposing anything. It sounded more like a personal reflection, something she may not have even realized would carry so much weight. But, for those listening closely, it revealed a truth that didn't fully match the image the public had believed for years. People had always assumed they understood the dynamics inside the family of Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie, a strong, united front even after their separation. That assumption started to crack in that moment. For a long time, the public story was simple. Even after the divorce, many believed that both parents were equally present in their children's lives. The idea was that, despite legal battles and personal differences, the family remained balanced. There was a sense that the children were protected from the deeper issues, shielded from the tension that often comes with such high-profile separations. But what Shiloh hinted at suggested something more complicated. Her words carried a tone that people hadn't heard before.
Sports, never looked at it from the economic side. You think it's competition, you think it's a fair playing field.
It wasn't direct criticism, and it wasn't openly emotional, but there was a subtle honesty in it. It pointed to distance, to shifts in relationships, and to experiences that didn't fully align with the polished image presented to the world. This is where things became more interesting and more serious. Because when a child speaks, especially in a situation like this, people tend to listen differently. It doesn't feel like public relations or carefully managed messaging. It feels personal, and in this case, it raised quite a few questions. Was the bond between father and daughter as strong as people believed? Had things changed more than anyone realized? And how much of the real story had been kept out of public view? The interview didn't answer these questions directly, but it opened the door to them. It made people look back at past events, public appearances, reported disagreements, and even small details that once seemed unimportant in a new way. Suddenly, those details started to connect. More importantly, it hinted at deeper family tensions that may have been building over time. Not just between Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie, but within the entire family. Relationships evolve, especially under pressure, and this moment suggested that those changes may not have been as smooth or as balanced as many assumed. And that's what made this revelation so powerful. It didn't shout, but it spoke clearly enough to shift the entire narrative. Because if this small moment revealed so much, it leaves one big question. What else has not been said yet? Fateful meeting. The story of how Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie first met is one that quickly became part of Hollywood history. It all began in 2003, when both actors were cast in the action-comedy film Mr. and Mrs. Smith. At the time, they were simply co-stars preparing to play a married couple with a complicated and secretive relationship. No one expected that their on-screen partnership would soon turn into something much more personal. From the beginning, there was a noticeable connection between them. Their performances felt natural and energetic, and many people working on the film noticed how easily they communicated and worked together. This strong chemistry helped make the movie a success, but it also started raising questions. Viewers could see the spark on screen, and behind the scenes, it was becoming clear that their bond was growing. However, the situation was not simple. At that time, Brad Pitt was married to Jennifer Aniston, one of the most well-known actresses in Hollywood. Their marriage was widely followed and admired by the public. Because of this, any rumors about Brad's connection with Angelina immediately drew attention. The media began watching closely, and every interaction between the two co-stars became a topic of discussion. Both Brad and Angelina later shared that their relationship did not begin as a sudden romance. Instead, it developed slowly over time. They have explained in interviews that they first connected through their work, enjoying each other's company and respecting each other's talent. As filming continued, that connection deepened. What started as friendship and collaboration gradually turned into something more meaningful. As their bond grew, the public interest grew as well. Speculation increased, especially as Brad's marriage began to face challenges. In 2005, Brad Pitt and Jennifer Aniston announced their separation, which shocked many fans. Soon after, his relationship with Angelina Jolie became more visible, confirming what many had already suspected. The transition from co-stars to partners was not easy or private. It happened under intense public scrutiny, with constant media coverage and strong opinions from fans around the world. Despite this, Brad and Angelina chose to move forward together, building a relationship that would soon expand into a large and diverse family. Their meeting on a film set may have seemed like just another professional collaboration at first, but it marked the beginning of a major shift in both their lives. And what started as a simple movie role soon turned into a relationship that would change everything that came next. Love evolves. After filming began on Mr. and Mrs. Smith, the relationship between Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie did not suddenly turn into romance. According to both of them, it developed slowly over time. At first, they focused mainly on their work. They spent long days on set, discussing scenes, practicing lines, and understanding their characters. During this time, they also started learning more about each other as people. In later interviews, including a well-known conversation Angelina had with Vogue, she explained that their bond began as a strong partnership. They respected each other's dedication to acting and appreciated how seriously each approached their work. Instead of rushing into a relationship, they built trust step by step. They shared conversations about life, family, and their experiences in the film industry. Over time, those conversations created a deeper emotional connection. Another important part of their growing relationship was their shared values. Both were deeply interested in global issues, humanitarian work, and helping people in need. Angelina had already been involved in humanitarian missions around the world, and Brad became more engaged in similar efforts during that period. This gave them something meaningful to talk about and work toward together. Their connection was not only about attraction or fame, it was also about how they saw the world and the kind of lives they wanted to lead. As more information about their relationship began to surface, the public became extremely curious. Many people were fascinated because their story did not follow the usual pattern of Hollywood romances. There was already a lot of attention surrounding Brad's previous marriage and the timing of events, so every new detail about his connection with Angelina made headlines. People wanted to understand how their relationship had grown and what made it so strong despite the pressure around them. Over time, what began as a professional partnership slowly turned into a committed relationship that the world could clearly see. They appeared together more often, and their bond looked genuine and steady. But as their relationship became stronger, another big chapter of their lives was about to begin. Expanding family. As the relationship between Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie grew stronger, their focus quickly shifted toward building a family. What made their journey unique was how their family expanded over time, bringing together children from different parts of the world, as well as welcoming biological children. The story of their family actually began before they officially became a couple. In 2002, Angelina adopted her first child, Maddox Chivan Jolie Pitt, from Cambodia. A few years later, in 2005, she adopted Zahara Marley Jolie Pitt from Ethiopia. When Brad became part of Angelina's life, he didn't just join as a partner, he fully embraced fatherhood. He later legally adopted both Maddox and Zahara, showing his commitment to the growing family. In 2006, the couple welcomed their first biological child, Shiloh Jolie Pitt. Her birth attracted global attention, not only because of her famous parents, but also because it marked a new chapter for the family. This was followed by another important step in 2007, when they adopted Pax Thien Jolie Pitt from Vietnam. With each addition, their household became more diverse and full of different cultures and backgrounds. The family continued to grow in 2008 with the birth of twins, Knox Leon Jolie Pitt and Vivienne Marceline Jolie Pitt. By this point, they were raising 6 children together, each with their own unique story and identity. Managing such a large family, especially in the public eye, was not easy. But both Brad and Angelina often spoke about how important it was to give each child equal love and attention. One of the most meaningful aspects of their family was its multicultural nature. Their children came from Cambodia, Ethiopia, Vietnam, and the United States. This diversity was something both parents valued deeply. They wanted their children to grow up understanding different cultures, traditions, and perspectives. Angelina, in particular, often emphasized how important it was for her children to stay connected to their roots and feel proud of where they came from. Their home became a place where different languages, traditions, and experiences came together. It wasn't just about having a big family. It was about creating an environment where every child felt included and respected. This approach shaped how their children viewed the world and helped them develop a broader understanding of life beyond Hollywood. But as their family grew larger and more complex, so did the challenges that came with keeping everything together. Parenting philosophy. Raising 6 children is a big responsibility on its own, but doing it under constant public attention makes it even more challenging. For Angelina Jolie and Brad Pitt, parenting was never about following strict rules or meeting public expectations. Instead, they focused on creating a supportive environment where each child could grow into their own person, even while living in the global spotlight. One of the most important parts of their parenting philosophy was individuality. They believed that every child is different and should be allowed to express themselves freely. Whether it was through clothing, hobbies, or personal interests, they encouraged their children to make their own choices. This approach helped their kids feel confident and respected, rather than pressured to fit into a certain image. Freedom of self-expression was something both parents openly supported. They did not try to control how their children presented themselves to the world. Instead, they allowed them to explore who they were at their own pace. This was especially noticeable as their children grew older and began developing their own identities. Rather than correcting or limiting them, Angelina and Brad stood by them and offered guidance when needed. Angelina, in particular, has spoken many times about her journey as a mother. She has admitted that she does not believe in being a perfect parent. In interviews, she has shared that parenting is about being honest, learning from mistakes, and staying emotionally connected to your children. She has said that her children gave her a sense of purpose and helped her grow as a person. For her, motherhood was not just a role. It became a central part of her life. Despite their fame, both parents tried to give their children a sense of a normal life. This meant focusing on everyday routines, education, and spending time together as a family. They made efforts to keep their children grounded, even while traveling the world or attending high-profile events. Simple things like family time, open conversations, and shared experiences were important to them. They also encouraged their children to understand the world beyond Hollywood. Through travel and humanitarian work, they exposed themselves to different cultures and real-life situations. This helped their children develop empathy and awareness from a young age. But even with these strong values and efforts, raising a family in such a public and complex environment was never going to be easy. Shiloh Spotlight. The birth of Shiloh Jolie Pitt in 2006 was a major moment that captured global attention. As the first biological child of Angelina Jolie and Brad Pitt, her arrival was followed closely by fans and media around the world. She was born in Namibia, and even before her birth, there was intense interest in where and how the couple would welcome their child. Soon after she was born, her photos were shared worldwide, making her one of the most talked-about celebrity babies at the time. From the very beginning, Shiloh was in the spotlight. Her early life was documented in ways most children never experience. One of the most surprising moments came when Madame Tussauds created a wax figure of her as an infant, placing her alongside her parents. This showed just how strong the public fascination was. People were not just interested in her famous parents, they were deeply curious about her as an individual. As Shiloh grew, her personality began to stand out. She showed early signs of independence and confidence. Reports from her parents and those close to the family described her as expressive and strong-willed. She wasn't afraid to make her own choices, even at a young age. This independence became one of her defining traits and often drew attention from the public. Her role within the family was also unique. As the first biological child, she naturally held a special place, but she was also part of a large and diverse group of siblings. Growing up with older siblings like Maddox and Zahara, and later with Pax and the twins, meant that she was always surrounded by different personalities and experiences. This environment helped shape her outlook and behavior. Despite the attention she received, Shiloh was not isolated from her siblings. Instead, she was part of a close-knit family, where each child was encouraged to be themselves. She shared in family activities, traveled with her parents, and took part in humanitarian trips. These experiences gave her a broader view of the world from a young age. At the same time, the media continued to follow her closely. Every public appearance, outfit, or small detail about her life often became news. This constant attention made her childhood very different from most, but it also highlighted how early she began forming her own identity. And as she grew older, that strong sense of self would soon start raising even bigger conversations. Identity journey. As Shiloh Jolie Pitt grew older, it became clear that she was not afraid to express who she was. From a young age, she showed a strong sense of identity and a desire to make her own choices. This was not something that developed suddenly. It was visible early on and continued to grow as she became more aware of herself and the world around her. One of the most talked about aspects of her journey was her preference for different names and styles. At one point, her father, Brad Pitt, shared in an interview that she liked to be called names like John or Peter. This caught the public's attention immediately. Along with that, she preferred wearing clothing that was often seen as more traditionally masculine, such as suits, jackets, and simple hairstyles. For Shiloh, these choices were not about making a statement. They were simply about being comfortable and true to herself. Her parents, especially Angelina Jolie, made it clear that they fully supported her. They did not try to change her preferences or guide her toward any specific identity. Instead, they focused on giving her the freedom to explore and understand herself at her own pace. Angelina spoke openly about the importance of allowing children to express who they are without fear or pressure. She believed that forcing a child to behave a certain way could do more harm than good. This supportive environment allowed Shiloh to grow with confidence. She was not made to feel different or wrong for her choices. Instead, she was encouraged to explore her identity in a safe and understanding space. This approach reflected the parenting values both Brad and Angelina had followed for all their children. However, the public reaction was mixed. While many people praised her parents for being open-minded and supportive, others questioned their decisions. There were debates across media platforms about parenting, identity, and whether such choices should be discussed publicly. Some people misunderstood her journey, while others saw it as an important example of acceptance and freedom. Despite the attention and opinions, Shiloh continued to live her life on her own terms. She did not respond directly to the public debates, choosing instead to focus on her personal growth. And as these conversations grew louder, they also began to reveal deeper tensions happening within the family itself. Hidden cracks. From the outside, the relationship between Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie once looked strong and stable. But over time, small signs began to suggest that things were not as perfect as they seemed. The changes were gradual. There were fewer public appearances together, and reports of disagreements started to surface. While nothing was confirmed at first, it became clear that their relationship was under strain. The situation took a serious turn in 2016. Reports emerged about an incident during a private flight that involved the family. Angelina Jolie later made allegations about Brad Pitt's behavior during that time. These claims were widely covered in the media and brought intense attention to their personal lives. The incident became a key moment that changed everything, marking the point where their private struggles became public. Soon after, Angelina filed for divorce in September 2016, citing irreconcilable differences. This decision shocked many people around the world. What followed was not a quick or simple process. Instead, it turned into a long and complicated legal battle, especially when it came to custody of their 6 children. Both parents wanted what they believed was best, but reaching an agreement proved difficult. The custody battle became one of the most talked about parts of their separation. There were discussions about visitation rights, living arrangements, and the overall well-being of the children. Legal proceedings continued for years, keeping the situation unresolved for a long time. This ongoing conflict added more pressure to an already emotional situation. For the children, including Shiloh Jolie Pitt, this period was especially challenging. Growing up in the public eye is already difficult, but being part of such a high-profile separation made it even harder. They were not just dealing with changes at home, but also with constant media attention and public discussion about their family. The emotional impact on them was significant. Being caught between 2 parents during a long legal battle can be confusing and stressful. Even though both parents continued to express their love and support, the situation around them was far from simple. And as the legal fights continued, the children themselves slowly began to take their own positions. Shifting loyalties. As time passed after the separation of Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie, the focus slowly began to shift toward their children and how they were coping. At first, many people believed that the children would remain equally close to both parents. The public image suggested balance and shared support, but over time, reports and small details started to show that the situation was more complicated. Each child began forming their own relationship with both parents based on personal experiences. As they grew older, they were able to make their own choices and express their own feelings. This naturally led to differences. Some children were seen spending more time with one parent, while others appeared more distant. These changes were not always explained publicly, but they were noticed. There were also reports suggesting that some of the children felt closer to their mother, especially during the earlier years after the divorce. At the same time, there were signs that relationships with their father had become more strained for certain periods. However, this was not the same for everyone. The family dynamic was not one-sided. It continued to shift as time went on, with relationships evolving in different ways. Shiloh Jolie Pitt became one of the most talked-about figures during this time. Her decisions seemed to reflect deeper changes happening within the family. One of the most noticeable moments was her reported choice to drop Pitt from her name in certain situations. While she did not publicly explain this decision in detail, many saw it as a personal statement. It suggested that her connection with her father may have changed over time. At the same time, there were also reports that Shiloh chose to spend more time with Brad Pitt at one point, even considering living with him. This showed that her relationship with both parents was not simple or fixed. It continued to evolve, reflecting both emotional bonds and personal choices. This created a clear tension between what the public believed and what might actually be happening privately. From the outside, people often try to simplify family situations, especially when it involves well-known figures. But in reality, relationships are rarely that straightforward. The public narrative suggested clear sides, but the private reality seemed much more complex and constantly changing. And just when it seemed like things couldn't get more unexpected, a new side of Shiloh's life started gaining attention. Dance emergence. In recent years, Shiloh Jolie Pitt has started gaining attention for something completely different from what many people expected. Instead of following the traditional path into acting like her parents, Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie, she has shown a strong passion for dancing. This shift has surprised many, but it has also helped people see a new side of her personality. Her interest in dance became more visible through videos that began circulating online. These clips showed her practicing and performing hip-hop routines at well-known dance studios. What stood out was not just her skill, but also her confidence and focus. She wasn't performing for attention or publicity. She looked fully engaged in the moment, enjoying what she was doing and expressing herself freely through movement. These performances quickly gained attention on social media. Fan pages and unofficial accounts started sharing her dance videos, and they spread rapidly. People were impressed by how naturally she moved and how much energy she brought into each routine. Without any formal announcement or promotion, she began building a following. Viewers appreciated her effort and dedication, especially because she seemed to be doing it purely out of interest rather than pressure. This path also highlights an important choice she has made. Growing up in a family deeply connected to the film industry, it would have been easy for her to step into acting roles. In fact, she had a small early exposure to films as a child. But instead of continuing in that direction, she chose something that felt more personal to her. Dance became her way of expressing emotions, creativity, and identity on her own terms. Her growing recognition is not based on her last name alone. While her background may have drawn initial attention, it is her consistent effort that keeps people interested. Each new video shows improvement, discipline, and commitment. This has helped shift the focus from her being a celebrity child to someone building her own identity. More importantly, her dance journey represents independence. It shows that she is not defined by expectations placed on her because of her family. She is making her own decisions and exploring her own interests. This has made her a symbol of self-defined identity. especially for young people who are trying to figure out their own paths. Shiloh Jolie Pitt is carving her own path, showing independence, creativity, and courage while growing up in the public eye. From early fame to exploring her identity and discovering a love for dance, she's proving she's more than just the child of Hollywood stars. She's her own person. If you enjoyed this story, like, subscribe, and hit the bell to follow Shiloh's journey and get more updates on celebrity news.